Hey, we're live. Oh, thank you so much. I think it's just a couple of us at the moment. I'm not surprised. It's a bit early, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me. And I guess for those of you who would be expecting the 2 o'clock fold, which is the usual time, hey, hopefully it's there and it's recorded, so you're still taking part. So many thanks. Next week it will be 2 o'clock as well. Sorry, it will go back to just the normal time at 2. The week after, hello, Money. Thank you for coming along. Week after, I will actually be taking a break. So I will sort of keep you posted by that little note at the end of the weekly videos as to what's happening next. Summer's going to be a bit strange, and I've got a couple of times I will be away. So I will be letting you know it is important to keep our own self-care important, and that includes me as well. So I'm really excited to share this, and thanks, Eric. It was your request, and delighted to share with you. So I'm calling it Sweet Wild Strawberry, and I've just found a Sweet Wild Strawberry out in our garden. Actually, it's this lovely round shape. There is a lovely strawberry. Hello, Stephen. Thank you for joining us at this early time. I suppose midday is not too early, but for us in effect. And I know there's a lovely strawberry from Ray Cooper, which is very well known and very loved, and you kind of blow it up as well. And it's definitely similar principles, but I suppose it's like comparing a swan. There are lots of different sorts of swan folds, and of course they're all related because they're all of a swan. So this is definitely related, but it is a bit different. And it was I found it unexpectedly. Lilies is where I started with origami. I'm just going to show you the bunch of flowers again. Well, I do love them because this is my starting point with origami. Asked by a patient to learn to fold these lilies and to pass them on. So I have been taking a deliberately kind of creative approach, but actually in a different way, not expecting myself to design things, but instead just to be playful and see what happens. So I took the lily that I love so much, and I deliberately tried adding different folds and just seeing what emerged, and a strawberry emerged. Who would have thought from a lily would be a strawberry? So this actually is, I'd say it's harder to fold than Ray Cooper's strawberry. So yeah, it was a good challenge. It's a good challenge, but it does look, I think, a really nice round sort of shape. It is open at the top, so it's a bit different. Eric was saying actually he's made a big one and sort of hung it as a lamp. I can definitely see this as being quite nice as a sort of summery thing to maybe to string up. But it has almost got a lot of the details of the leaves, and it's kind of rounder, so it's different. So I call it Sweet Wild Strawberry. And yeah, so I would maybe even recommend, if you're up for it, even some colouring in. Maybe it's not possible now, but that's what I did here to get the colours. It was just really relaxing. So here's one that I started colouring and then deconstructed. It looks a bit like a sort of watermelon. It's rather nice, isn't it? So really nice to do the shading. I found that very relaxing, strawberry colours. So kind of pale in the middle and some pips, and then fading out into the greens like the real thing. And it is lovely because it is one piece of paper. You'll definitely have to concentrate. But that's great. Hello, Eric. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your kind words as well. Yes, we're extremely thankful. Together with my colleague Zule, we're actually 3 women together doing origami, but very much from our own experience of finding the difference it makes for mental health. I guess more for me with patients, but I have to say for myself, it always lifts my mood, and I think it does so many incredible things. And hopefully we're all, as people who love origami, we all love it, that we can pass it on and encourage others. What a healthy, brilliant thing to do. The world would be a better place, more people folded. It's amazing, isn't it? Everyone's not doing it. So just happy to pass on that joy. And actually none of us would be doing it if others hadn't passed it on. I think everyone's done some origami as a child, and I think finding that inner child in yourself again is a really good thing. Most of all, make sure that it's fun, not to take it too seriously. But I'm sure you could take it very seriously. So we're going to fold a strawberry. Yes, sorry, I was saying about this project. So it's really exciting. We did Made with Glove, where we made special origami inspiration leaflets, and we sent those to healthcare staff in hospitals across the country, which was amazing. 25,000 copies went out. We did a lot there, lots of working with nurses as well as all sorts of vulnerable communities. And we've just been feeling, also as parents ourselves, very aware of how very hard it's been for children. And then going back into schools, the anxiety, I think anxiety levels have really increased for children, and the strain on the entire family. I think everyone's relationships have been strained. So just thinking about how origami allows people to do something that's special, that's happy across generations as well. So you can have grandparents, children, and obviously parents. And actually, we're all part of the family in some way, aren't we? So not to leave out those who are not in that kind of structure. We're all to feel that origami is in itself a big family. So yeah, so we're going to be focusing particularly on young people and families, but obviously whoever can benefit. Starting another monthly fold again, which would be lovely, offering us origami challenge and things for schools and for maybe children hospital as well. So can't wait to bring that, and also that and schools, and encouraging also the drawing. I think children are very good at seeing something quite simple and then converting it in their imagination and the drawing, which is just lovely. So looking forward to that. So it's called We Can Origami. Of course, we can origami, that positive attitude as to what you can do, given the encouragement, kindness, and bit of time and patience. So without further ado, on to that. Thank you for coming along. Let's get folding this sweet wild strawberry. It's funny, I've just been practicing and finding it's trickier than I think. So you'll have to be patient with me as well. I know that you will get there. And of course, I do also record a video. So if you're finding that it's not quite coming together in this live session, you can go back to that. Hopefully there I'm more fully focused on just the folding. So I'm going to grab a board, something to press on. Piece of paper. Hello, Eric. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why not. No notification. I wonder. I don't know actually how that notification would normally work. Don't know. Oh, yeah. I've put on social media as well for those who do follow it that way. I realise that you don't. Good for you. Anyway, at least the good thing is the film's here, isn't it? So someone's like, oh, where's the fold? It's there already. So we're going to make a square. I'm going to go big just because it's a little bit easier. Big. Start big, and then with time, when you master it, you can start to get smaller. So I did manage to do one this size, but definitely a lot harder when it gets small. So I would start bigger. So I'm folding it. So next week we're back to... Oh, interesting. Maybe I didn't set it up long enough in advance. That's maybe it, Eric. It's strange timings, isn't it? I'm going to remove this rectangle. Yeah, that's probably it. Removing a rectangle. Obviously, you could use red paper. The only thing is, obviously, one piece of paper, you will have the same colours over the whole thing. So that's why I'm going to do a bit of shading in a moment. There we go. So I've done one diagonal, and I'm going to do the other one. Yeah, so this requires quite a bit of concentration. But that is also where the satisfaction comes, because the little bit of challenge means when you do get it come together, it's really good. Yeah. And Eric, you've been making ones already. It's so fantastic. So I've done the diagonals, turning it over. And in a moment, we're going to do the horizontal and the vertical. But actually, I'm going to do just a really quick bit of colouring. Not for long, but just to get that feeling of the colours. Do a little bit of colouring in. Very relaxing. If you haven't got colouring pencils, then feel free to enjoy those scribbly sounds. Nice little colours emerging. And I was doing it really quite gently and carefully for myself. And then I add some pips. This is just a quick scribbly version. But it is quite nice to get those colours. All right, a bit of red. And you could even do like little paler areas around the pips. But it's part of the beauty if you've got those materials to do some colouring. It's really nice to do. I find it incredibly pleasing. And then obviously some green around the edge. Yeah, I've really taken to watching Bob Ross. The joy of painting, the joy of origami, the joy of colouring. Just actually it's surprisingly entertaining, isn't it? Just watching somebody's hands, colours appearing, talking about the little world that you're making, which is so true, and how it makes you feel. It's all about illusion. I'm just thinking about the magic side. Actually, art is magic, really, because it's obviously it's symbolic. It's not the real thing, but our imaginations allow it to become in some way representing something else. So it sort of is magic, really. All art is. And it brings us good changes. Yeah, good idea, Eric. Also, I think it's a good one to just really focus on. I must do a giant strawberry too. I think that's such a lovely idea. Did you use kind of thicker paper, or was it still? I can imagine this might be quite good, actually, thicker paper. I don't know. I definitely need to do a bit more with this one. Certainly a more focused kind of fold. But I was keen to share it with you. And it'll be interesting if you know Ray Cooper's strawberry. I've only done that. I've made a couple of times a long time ago. We've got some little lamps that you could make, and it included the strawberry design. But they're quite square, and they do sort of it has a different feel. And this is obviously it's different origins, but I don't know if you know it well. I thought it'd be interesting if you can compare. About 80 gram. Oh yeah, so that's the kind of normal. I think is that normal paper that I'm using as well. I do fancy doing this out of really quite good cartridge paper or something, actually. I don't know whether it would handle it, but it might be a little bit stronger. Definitely harder work on the hands. Anyway, that was just me very quickly scribbling. So I'm going to do a horizontal and a vertical. Being lost in colours, those gorgeous gradations of colours. Quite a lovely thing to do. Like, oh wow, Eric, that sounds amazing. Presumably a little LED one rather than a flame. That definitely wouldn't mix, would it? I think I've just realised I've coloured on the wrong side. Okay. You see, I do get lost when I do something else. So I'm just going to go back along those lines. It doesn't matter. It's just if you've got the coloured, I'm just going around the lines and doing it the opposite way. It's all completely correct. It's just I would otherwise end up losing my colours, which seems like a bit of a shame. So sorry. I've gone for all of that. So we did the diagonals on one side, turned it over, did the horizontal and the vertical. And I'm just taking all of the pieces and bringing it together. And I was just wanting to make sure I had the colour on the outside. That's why I went, yeah. Excellent. Yes, I must do that too. And I did. I think it was last time you said about the little LED lamps. And I have got some now too. So maybe that'll be like a summertime evening thing to do. Hang up some magical strawberry lamps. Little lights in and feel it's like properly summer. Definitely on a dry time. So you should have all that come together as a square. This obviously a base, which I still don't remember the name of, but it's okay. Is it preliminary? I don't know. The names don't stick for me. So we've got like a little page and put your finger in. But I found actually that things like the terminology can really distract, I think, because there's a lot of things to take in when people are learning. So I think the more language you use, the more it's kind of off-putting. You feel like you don't know what's going on. So that's why I tend to avoid these words. But also my brain tends to work in that way. I use lots of terminology in science, but I understand the kind of the meaning of them, which makes it, yeah. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, preliminary. I mean, I sort of get it, but it just doesn't quite square base. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. So we're just going to do this on each side. So it's like the lily. So I'm turning around again. Another flap. Pop your finger in, squash it down. Wow, we've done well. We've still got a little group of 5 of us here. Well, including myself, 6. Which is pretty impressive considering it's the summer. It's a strange time. Oh, wow. Oh, that sounds lovely, Eric. Really beautiful. Yeah, I fancy kind of doing nice cartridge paper and painting it first and then folding this. But anyway, sometimes it's nice just to have these things in your head. But at some point I should make it happen too. Again, my finger in, squashing it down. So I hope you're doing this on each side. Do say if you need me to repeat anything. Hopefully you can speak up through the chat box. It definitely always makes you feel like, Eric, I feel like we've had so many conversations and yet I don't think I've met you in person. But it's hard to believe, isn't it? Because I feel like you've been a really good constant presence in a very positive way. Thank you. Again, this little tap. And that'd be strange because you'd be like, Lizzie, and I'd be like, who are you? Because I'm not seeing the same image back. There we go, squashing it down. There we go. Oh, someone else has appeared. 6, 7 of us. I like that number. So squash that down on each side. That's it. Brilliant. Oh, yeah, probably, Eric. But you know what? If I was really determined, if it was really big, it might help. Generally, I wouldn't suggest big paper. But I can imagine for this, it would hold really well. It would look really nice. So maybe I should try it as my summer challenge. Okay, so you've got something like this, which is very much like the lily. Now, this is me deliberately going, normally you take this side and fold it to the middle. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to take this side and bring that to the middle. As I said, I found this by chance, really. But that is actually the stuff of evolution and life. Things are not created with that foresight, but with chance. Ah, oh, brilliant, brilliant. Eric, so it was that, which was the first convention that I went to then, which blew my mind totally. This side to that middle line. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names and faces, Evo. Oh, yeah. So, apologies. But I'm glad we have. There we go. And we're going to do that again for each of the sides. So each of the sides where there's that line across, it's a bit like the lily, but instead of this side, you take this side and bring it to the middle. And it's kind of making it really quite tight, tightening up. And later on, we'll be opening up with our fingers rather than blowing. Oh, wow, really? Architecture study? Now I'm intrigued. Really? Well, that's great. I'm still wondering. But that's fantastic. Happy? Yeah. Oxford's a small place. Wonderful place to study. I think that's why I haven't quite managed to leave. I think it's meant to be the most expensive city to live in England, which is not great because some people will have lots of money, but most people do not. We're just normal people trying to exist in somewhere, but it is such a lovely place, and that's what keeps me happily here. The feeling of knowledge, of study, beautiful parks and rivers, and a real kind of mixture of the university, but also it's very much its own separate city and lots of diversity as well, more diverse than Cambridge, which is near where I grew up. Right, so it should look like this. Now our next stage is a little bit like the lily again, actually. But anyway, the mutant lily becomes a strawberry. So we're going to take this top side and then bring it to that middle line. So again, taking it really carefully, gently through that tip. And we're going to do that on each of those sides. I'm still really intrigued, Eric, about that. There we go. And then the other side. But I'm very glad we have that. There we go. And then turning to the back, same thing, side to the middle line. Set same side to the middle line. And this is very much architecture, isn't it, really? It's all about structure and form and how stimulating that is. Right, turning the pages. I'm going to do the same on the back. So all of those crisp sounds. Papers. Got a good strength. That's it. Right, again the side, and then bring it to the middle. Go. Find yourself really concentrating with this. It feels like there's so many little sides, and I'm hoping bigger I'll have more success. They definitely take me lots of concentration. So do be kind on yourself if you're finding you might need a few tries to get there. So hopefully it should look like this. Is this the same so far as the Ray Coopers? I don't know. But I'm just doing my own thing and just seeing where it brings me and just passing it on. So I'm going to open up the little flaps, which is like, this does remind me of the lily. And I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to tuck that in and reshape it so it forms a little point. Now I'm going to have to look down as to what I'm doing. Definitely limitations at times with doing it directly into the camera. So what I did was, it was like that, and I took that little area and I tried to push that in, and I'm trying to aim for a little point there at the bottom, like so, and then pushing it up. So again, opening that up, sort of tucking that in and aiming for a point there. There we go. So it should look like this. And that's what we need to do on all the 4 sides. Well, 3 that are left now. So again, opening that up, taking the side. So I would guess this is trickier, isn't it? But it's probably the next stages which are trickier, to be honest. But it's what makes it fun, isn't it? A little bit of challenge. Don't want it too easy, or you won't feel quite the same buzz of achievement, but it's definitely doable. So I'm doing this for each side. And again, turning the pages until we get to another side. Same thing, opening it up. And some people may just enjoy watching these curious hands and paper, and that something will unfold. And I found this with people in hospital, sometimes just too unwell to be able to do stuff, but I've really found it such an interesting experience to watch and to feel that change and to see what can happen from hands on paper. And that can feel a liberation as well. So it's all transforming. Right. One more side, I think, for myself. Don't know how you're getting on. Those fingers must be quite busy. Opening up the flap. Yeah, I think this isn't really one for children because it's way too tricky. And then if it's too tricky, it will get frustrating. And I think as an adult, hopefully you can stick with frustration and almost enjoy it, to be able to know that you will get there eventually. That's the attitude I try to encourage. But for children, I think it's slightly simpler things, or else they'll just end up feeling not happy about it. So how are you all getting on? Have you managed to get up to this step? So it should look something like this. I think it's a similar principle of the leaves coming down. It's almost a little bit of a fusion between Ray Cooper's strawberry and the lovely little star pot as well. Temco, Florence Temco. Yeah, it's got a bit of a similarity to that actually. These 4 sets. Well, there you go. It really is tricky, isn't it? Oh, glad you found a way though. That's fantastic. So I'm going to take it to the side difficult to say it looks similar to yours, so fingers crossed. Oh, bless you. Yeah, but there is the video, so do see it as a work in progress. Oh, well done, Stephen. Oh, glad it's worked for you. So it should be that these little bits are sticking up there. Right, the next step is a bit like the other strawberry, that you can turn through a page and this bit sticking up. You should be able to quite easily, so it really naturally just flicks down and tucks in. You see, so that will become a leaf. And again, each of these longer bits, you can turn the page and then flick it down and it just quite nicely fits in. So I'm going to do that for each of these. Yeah. Stephen and Eric, do you know the strawberry well? The Ray Coopers. I'm curious. As I said, at the moment, I'm deliberately not looking at others because I think it will influence me. So I'm trying not to, but I'm curious if you do know it, how you're finding it, whether you feel it's, I don't think it's the same, but whether it's, you know, or is it very similar? I don't know. Anyway, its origins are a bit different. So it should look something like this. Actually, I was recently doing this as nurses and they went, oh, it's like a chili. I quite like that. It's like a chili at the moment, isn't it? So it's quite long. So it's an interesting little shape. And how to open it up. So, yes, squeezing that down. So you do have to really concentrate. I can find that sometimes one side will come out and then I find it quite difficult to work out how to get it back in again. So complete concentration. What we'll end up doing is putting our finger in there and sort of inside, running up the inside to get rid of the crease. So it's almost pushing it out. But you'll find that some areas have to stay creased in. So it is a little bit of a tricky. And then later on, we'll shape it a bit more as well. Yeah. Exactly. I think it is different. Anyway, so I'm going up each one of these, and you'll find that one's closed. That's right. But each one of these, I'm just gently beginning to run my finger up each of these creases, and that's how I'm opening it up. So it's not the blowing. I don't think the blowing will work for this because it's such a big top to it. Right, I think I'm going to put this down and see how it goes. Concentration. And start pushing out, and it's a bit like Florence Temco's star bowl, that it will start to kind of push out, and that's how it stays in place. I'm sort of getting rid of the folds in a way. Let's get in there. And it's quite kind of roundy, yeah. So I think it's less of a square, much more of a rounder strawberry, but it's not nice and closed up at the top. That makes it like a little lamp. So they said it's a mutant lily. Becomes a strawberry. Whew. Oh, there's one side that's not done for me there. Come on. But you're finding it's taking lots of concentration as well. I think it definitely is a good idea to start bigger. And then when you feel like you're mastering it, then you can start to get a bit smaller as well. Oh, it's great. You have been mastering it already, Eric. And sharing it too. How lovely. Also to say, with the things I'm doing, I mean, obviously commercial will be different, but otherwise you're very welcome to pass on and teach, because all of these are offered in that support for well-being. So it's kind of looking like this. As I said, it's not the easiest, but it's also what makes it quite fun. So it's kind of quite out, whereas the strawberry needs to go in a bit. Can you see it goes in a bit again? Maybe just pause for a moment. How are you getting on, folks? Yeah, I must try this bigger bigger still. Let's see what big paper I've got. It's quite nice and rounded. The strawberry is the right kind of shape, isn't it? Ooh. I might eat this. Early lunch. I could have left it for a bit longer to ripen, I think. They can be so lovely, wild strawberries. But you never know. It's very sour. So sweet. It's just incredible. That was sour. Okay. Is everyone's looking like this? As I said, it's a bit like the Florence Tempco Star Bowl, isn't it? How it's opened up. Great. Exactly. So our next step, which is the final step, is we're going to take a little fold. Oh, well done. Yeah, probably starting as big as paper possible. But that's fantastic. If it looks at all strawberry like, you're doing brilliantly. So it's often just, if it's staying together like that, then you're sorted. So, I like your little emoji there, strawberry emoji. How did you find that? So our next step will be to take the side with the leaf, that little line, and bringing it down to that line. It's sort of adding a diagonal line, and it brings out the leaf, and it brings in a shapeliness to it. I've no idea. I worked this out. I just sort of did it, really. So I'm going to take this side, and I'm going to fold it to that line. And you have to just really concentrate. It's the kind of thing you can definitely imagine your tongue will come out. All right, that to that line. But you can hold it next to the leaf. And you've got nothing quite to push against either. Anyway, be kind on yourself. So it's sort of coming together there, and also that little bit that sticks up, you can then fold it back, which just keeps it in place a little bit like that. And again, then same with the next one. There's that one to that line. Oh, you really feel like you deserve a strawberry for the end of this, that's for sure. It's quite different, isn't it? I think it's a bit different there with that line to that. Different strawberry variety. For third time, yes. Oh, it is a bit like a little operation, isn't it? But a good one. So I'm taking those bits and folding them down. I'm finding myself not able to talk at the same time because it requires so much concentration. And again, those little bits that stick up, folding them down. But it is tricky because you're also aren't able to press against anything either. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this. So taking that line, bring it to there. But in doing this, you've made it go down in the middle, which is good. Makes it more strawberry-like. And it allows the leaves to come out a bit more too. And it's a good old challenge. How's it going for you? You did ask me to share, Eric, and I'm very happy to do so. It's a little bit more shapely, isn't it? So I think in some ways it does look quite nice and strawberry-like. But it's maybe not the easiest. But that's all right. Nice to do a bit more of a challenging one, isn't it? Oh. You've got these leaves as well, but it's also like a little bit of extra greenery at the top there, isn't it? Something like that. Sweet wild strawberry. Make yourself some summery fun. And yeah, I must do that, Eric. Special kind of, I was thinking midnight strawberry outing into the garden. Actually, it's also making me think of like how you'd have an egg hunt as well. You could maybe go and have a wild strawberry hunt and put them inside. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? A little strawberry with strawberries inside it. Obviously you want to make sure they weren't squashed or wet, as it would rather spoil it. And maybe this is a bit too much effort to make if you're then going to let it get soggy. So maybe it's a bad idea. But it's a thought. Take you out into the garden. Yes. So I'm curious. How are you getting on, folks? Next week, we're going to do a bit of building, and I'm sure any of you who do any... Oh, brilliant. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I was really chuffed with it. Well, particularly as I wasn't expecting anything, really. So it was the gift, which just seems so appropriate for this time of year as well. It's funny, I've almost then I'm just taking a bit of a pause from trying to design more. There are many things that I do, writing lots of poems at the moment as well, and drawing. So feel like found over 100 different things, however simple, each is a beautiful discovery. And it feels like the strawberries are a nice point to give myself a little bit of a break and just relax and enjoy the fruits of the labour. Yeah, excellent. Oh, I'm glad that's worked, Stephen. It's quite tricky, isn't it, in its own way? Oh, it's a real concentration. And actually, I shared this with some nurses, my colleagues, new nurses arriving and having to be in quarantine for 10 days in a hotel room. And they said, actually, I shared this, which is pretty hard. If someone's never done origami before, to start with, this is pretty high concentration. We've done some simpler ones actually before. But they said actually they really like this for the concentration. It really helped to relieve anxiety because you have to completely focus. And they did very well. I think nurses are naturally very good at origami because it's that attention to detail, following instruction, be careful, practical, and encouraging them to care for themselves too. So much care for others, but we do have to care for ourselves in order to be able to look after others. But we are precious ourselves as well. So I hope that's worked for you as well as you can. And obviously there's the video there as well. So next week, as I mentioned, we're going to do some building. You will absolutely know this if you've done any origami. They are indeed, Eric. So it will be something that you know, but I thought I'd bring it along as a summer challenge. I'm also setting this to sort of children and families, that this would be a great thing to do over the kind of summer holidays, because I think they're going to be really hard holidays for people. Britain's so expensive for any break, and obviously not being able to travel abroad. And so, actually how much of a break are most people going to get after a really difficult time financially? So hopefully some building with origami will be really good. And after that, we're setting a few things of things that you can take outside as well. But I'm going to keep things a little bit of a secret too to make it interesting. So I will be here next week, so a 2:00 fold. But then I'm going to be away the following week, seeing my parents after not since December 2019. So can't wait to see them in person. So I'll be taking a break then, and I'll keep you posted when I'm next doing ones. You can assume it normally is, but there will be at least the week after next, and there will be another break at some point as well. But I'll keep you posted. And also for you, Eric, you don't need to be on Twitter, but you can see Twitter. So at Dr. Lizzie Burns, you'll be able to see, and I often post the latest things. So it's also another place that might be useful. I know Facebook's a bit of a pain because they don't let you on there unless you joined, which I think is not great. Otherwise, I can also put little notes with the top of the previous live fold as to when the next one is, which is what I've done with this as well. So look after yourselves and enjoy those delicious strawberries. I hope they've worked for you, and many thanks for joining and wishing you, you're very welcome. Thank you, Marnie. Wishing you a good rest of your day and a good week, and I'll see you next week if you're free. Thank you. Bye-bye.